had a great relationship. His beautiful work, being that he had been a mayor himself, he knows how all of this works, and it's a real pleasure for me to introduce Steve from Woodlawn to you, to tell you about it.
Thanks. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're well. I brought some books just because it's a little complicated. It might be easier to see it rather than just hear about it. Adam, I didn't know there were celebrities here tonight, or I'd have brought you an extra book. So this is the Metro Park site that you all may remember from a couple of different false starts by the Hampshire group, who had originally had, I think, 3 offices here back in 2014, and then they modified the program, and in 2017 you received an approval to build a hotel, an apartment community, and a third building as an office building. If you open to your first page, you can see along the top of the plan is where the hotel was, the new building on the right, what's marked A2 on your plan, and A3 was the apartment community, and there was a proposed parking deck and another office building. That plan, for a whole bunch of reasons, including very fiscal constraints regarding the structure of parking, etc., never got built. So we entered into conversations with Hampshire, and our plan is at A2, we plan to convert the hotel into a senior continuum of care, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. And A3 stays pretty much the same as 300 luxury apartments. We built luxury apartments throughout the state, from Morristown to Cranford to Red Bank. I know all of you have seen what's being built, a lot of the beautiful stuff with the highly amenitized stainless steel appliances and quartz countertops and so on. So I don't think we need to get into that too heavily, other than for you all to understand that that's a market that we've been in for the past 15 or 20 years, and very successfully in New Jersey. We have over 3,000 apartments in our portfolio. We have another 2,000 somewhere in the pipeline in either the Lehigh Valley or in New Jersey. Just quickly before we turn the page, and you'll see in A3 where the circle is all the way, the building on the left, that is a parking deck that surrounds the one area of apartments, and then the E, sort of all the way on the left of your plan, which is the southerlymost direction, are the balance of the apartments. To your right, as I mentioned, where A2 is, that is a senior continuum of care, and if you turn the page, I'll give you an explanation of that. So what you're seeing in New Jersey right now is mostly assisted living product, ranging demographically from a lower end, frankly, to a higher end. That is a certificate of need concept. It's less care than acute care nursing home, but it's requires state licensure and so on. What we are proposing is what we call continuum of care. Very few of them exist in New Jersey. I'm telling you right now, you're on the cutting edge of senior living, because this is where it's all headed. What we have are 160 units, 80 of which are independent living, meaning it's an apartment with a very small kitchen, very well appointed, very similar to what's going on next door at the luxury apartment community, and you can have your own meals in your own apartment if you choose, but you can also go downstairs to communal dining rooms. So this isn't like a nursing home where everybody goes into the dining room at the same time and leaves at the same time. We call it really more like a cruise ship that never leaves the port. So when you have dinner time, you come downstairs, there's different options. There's outdoor, there's indoor, there'll be Mexican, there'll be all different types of options. So when you first walk into the community and you're seeing some of our different concepts, we have 5 of these currently in the pipeline, is the concierge area. So I'll take you back, if any of you have been into an assisted living community, you probably know what's out there now. You walk in, there's a grand piano, there's maybe 2 people sitting off to the side, at least one of them on an oxygen tank. Very uninviting, very unfriendly. Ours, when you walk in the door, the first thing you're going to see is a pub to your right and a coffee shop right in front of you. And those are obviously open to our residents. Everything is free, everything is paid for by your room rate. So you come downstairs anytime you want during the day, you can have a cocktail, you can have coffee. There's outdoor and indoor activities for everybody to enjoy. There's obviously activities, and that's in the independent living. Now, importantly, where you do have independent living in New Jersey, you're allowed to bring in a 24-hour nurse. So what's happening is these independent living units that are supposed to be vibrant and fun and a little lower, more active and more vibrant and a little lower age than what's happening at the assisted living level are actually becoming older folks than the assisted living because family is putting a nurse in that apartment with the person. So we don't permit that. So everybody who's in an assisted living and an independent living will be living independently. They'll be vibrant, they'll want activities, they'll want to get on the bus, they're going to want to come to your downtown and shop, go to the movies and so on. When the person sort of ages out of that, and that's such a terrible word, if my senior people were here, they would shoot me, but as their condition requires, they'll then be able to move into the assisted living, which is part of the same continuum of care. If, for any unfortunate reason, they deteriorate with a mental acuity, we also have a memory care a component, which is obviously similar to the assisted living, but much more restricted on movement inside and out, so nobody can wander away and get lost. It is not a nursing home. If you reach a level of care where you need a nursing home, we ask you, and we give you all kinds of services, and we move you into a nursing home. So it's an active, vibrant environment designed to keep everybody young, designed to keep everybody active, and not just warehouse our seniors. If you turn a couple of pages, this is the concierge where you see what right when you walk in the door. We have, as I mentioned, a number of dining options. Typically, the independent living dining options will be separate from the assisted living dining options, although there'll be one central kitchen, obviously, so we can take advantage of the economies of scale, and all of the restaurants will sort of hub off of that. Also, we know, even before COVID, one of our big selling points was always lots of outdoor space, rooftop space, etc. We'll go through that with the planning board, but now post-COVID, we know that keeping people and giving people outdoor options and keeping everybody a little more separated instead of everybody in one giant dining room is a better system to follow through with. So you can just look through, and these are also the amenities. The pool you're looking at on the left is the actual pool that we're building in our Howell community, and this will be a model for what we're going to do everywhere. Golf simulator, which is something we do in our luxury apartment communities. Biggest hit, put a little refrigerator in there, a pub table, and men, women, couples come in, put some beer in the fridge, and play any golf course they want in the entire country. It's really a huge, huge hit in many of our communities. Unfortunately, I have to apologize. We don't have our 3D renderings ready yet. I just found out about this meeting a few days ago. So for the planning board, we'll have full 3D renderings of both buildings. So what I brought to you tonight were just what were submitted, but you can, I think, see the quality of the buildings that we're building. The first elevation you're seeing is the senior building. It's a level and a half of parking below, and then residential above. And then if you turn the page, you'll see the apartment community. As I mentioned, on the right-hand side of your page is a donut, so those apartment homes will wrap a parking deck. You can see the parking structure just to the left of that in the middle, right here, it just appears for just a slight bit, so when you pull in, you don't really see any parking garage, and then the balance of the building to the left of that, and that's the front and the back as the last two pages. So, just to quickly recap, we're removing the hotel from the approved plan, we're replacing that with the senior continuum of care. The 300 apartment, luxury apartment building remains, we think, improved, but in the same footprint, but interiorly, stylistically very different, and frankly, we feel an upgrade from what was previously approved. And then, in the triangle, in the middle, we will be redesigning, and that will be surface parking. We are, had consents of all the folks around us. I think it really completes the campus environment. That was the conversation when Hampshire was last year in 2017. I picked that out of the resolution. We're very, very excited about it. And we hope you are as well.
Any questions? Terrific. Well, thank you. This is
Thank you
great,
very
and
much.
this is so incredibly needed because so many of our seniors are looking for a place to live in town, and this will be more than they ever dreamt of.
Well, we're
It is great.
very
Thank you.
excited to have them. As I mentioned, we have 4 others and then 2 others that we're close to getting under contract in lots of communities that you've heard of. And this is our newest endeavor for the past 3 years. We've been working really hard on this and studying the market and trying to, understand what's next, because we think it's an underserved demographic here in New Jersey.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all, very much appreciate your time. Obviously, any questions, Carol knows where I live.
Our next presentation, SEI Caseby, talking about things that I've been trying to get done since I took this job. The Gentempo Landfill has been a contaminated challenge for the town, and we've had developer after developer take a look at it, and they just got so frightened by it that they ended up walking away. And we finally are lucky enough to have a phenomenal redeveloper who is willing to clean up the site and then redevelop it. This is part of our brownfield area, so DEP, we have a special, as you know from the other projects that we have done, we have a project manager in DEP that every time they put in an application will walk over and make sure the application is getting acted on. When he heard this morning that they've always, which one did you put in already, that he said,
the landfill closure
the
application.
landfill closure, he said, okay, let me go track it down and see where it is and make sure it's moving. So
Yeah,
I have a
very
feeling you'll get that in more than the 2 months that they told you.
Yes.
So let's tell everybody about this great
Yeah,
project.
awesome. I don't know if I can follow that last presentation, but pass around some 11x17s of the site plan as well. Sorry. So yeah, basically the surrounding area around here, you have the DOT Maintenance Facility across the street on Smith Street here. We're at the corner of Smith Street and Crow's Mill. Basically, it's going to be a 2 warehouse project, roughly about 300 plus thousand square feet warehouse. Building 1's about 160,000. Building 2 is about 170. Associated drive aisles and parking areas as well along the east and west side of the buildings with a shared loading dock down the middle. Truck circulation is going to be avoided to commingle with passenger cars as well around the facility, and that's the main front lot. And then the site is actually bisected by Conrail property and train tracks as well. So that's on the northeastern side of the property. Which will be truck trailer storage. That's really the overview of it. Like Caroline was saying, there's going to be several DEP permits that we'll have to go for. We actually met with Tony Finley this morning, which was very helpful and awesome to get that through with him and meet him. So hopefully he's able to help us pass along information and get this process moving as well. Yeah. Any questions?
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Yeah.
That was just in the 5 minutes that we took.
Yeah, you said keep it short and simple.
Okay, now, the next presentation obviously is not something I've been wanting to do since the day I got this job. But once Adam Zelder told me about this, maybe, gosh, how long have we been talking about this? Maybe 10 years now? Yeah,
since Hurricane
10 years
Sandy.
ago. This is probably, we will probably be one of the first towns in the state to be doing this. It's phenomenally innovative and spectacular, really, really. Adam, you have okayed our monthly payments to him. He is our energy consultant, and this is why he's our energy consultant. And just to steal a little bit of your thunder, he is going to take Main Street and make it into its own power source using, will give us redundancy. So if there's an emergency, we'll be able to still have energy in our town hall, in our firehouse, in our schools, in our businesses as they sign up for it, in our community center. And this energy, as it develops, not necessarily right away, will be renewable energy. So that's why this is so exciting. And now Adam can really try to fix what I just said and explain it. So this is Adam Zellner.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm over here for camera purposes, and as Steve was talking, I'm thinking, no, we didn't put a golf simulator in the microgrid. That would have been.
There actually is one up the street at the club. There you go.
Congratulations, he's a great developer. I have to work with him in a lot of places over many years, and he's a fabulous developer. So let me take you through 10 years real quick in Jersey fashion, since I live around the corner and I speak as fast as you guys do. And thank you for allowing us to work so long on the efforts, and it ties into all the good work where everybody's done Sustainable Jersey, the recognition you guys have gotten every year. All of this ties back to this concept of sustainability, but now tied to resiliency. And one thing this last summer has showed, we're going into October, storm season's coming, PS is getting ready. There have been, in the last 2 years, New Jersey residents for, I guess, let's leave it up, 15 years, our outages averaged about 700,000 people a year total in the state for some time. Over the last 3 years, it's been 2.8 million, and that number continues to go up. And on hot days, we are relying on a very old grid. That grid is what you know, it's the wires, and I'm gonna give the 2 seconds, and I'll make it very quick. Energy, deregulated, right? And think of it like cars and the highway. You can buy any kind of car you want, and you can drive on the highway, but the highway is regulated, right? It's run by a DOT or a local. The cars are not, because you can buy, grid works the same way. The wire is owned by PSE&G in your case. They own the wire. Nobody else owns the wire, that's it. It's above you, sometimes it's below you, but it's there. What goes in the wire is energy, and you can buy it from green power energy, solar energy, nuclear energy, coal. All those electrons are commingled, and it's deregulated. What we have been looking at is this concept that the wires are getting more crowded. People want to plug in cars. It's getting, more outages, and we rely more when we start to plug in school buses and other things. We need them to roll. Public works, snow removal, data centers, computers, right? All of this relies, and specifically here, you're the hub of communications, police and fire for surrounding communities. If it goes down, it's a very serious effect. And so for the last, coming on since Hurricane Sandy, we have been awarded a couple $1 million from the state, all paid for by the state and the federal government, to study this idea of taking an above-ground grid, the highway, and putting one below ground. And just exactly right, as you said, attaching solar and renewables and fuel cells and other generation sources that are spread out. They're very small today. Some of them are as small as this room. They fit in the back of developments like we were just talking about, and connecting them. And so when the above-ground grid goes out, wires, squirrels, storms like last night, the below-ground grid can engage. It decouples from the above-ground grid so the electric doesn't backfeed in case somebody's on the wire fixing it. And those assets come up immediately, the critical assets that we discussed, and some of the residential and other things that are here to move elevators if you have senior assisted living, right? People may have oxygen. There's a lot of things we learned in Sandy that have probably become more critical in the last 10 years in terms of electric dependence. So the microgrid is first of its kind in New Jersey. You're one of only 8 communities chosen by the board to move forward. It is fully paid for and financed privately, both by the state and by private folks, to build the underground wire, and it's done in coordination with PSE&G, because for PS, as you probably know, on a hot August day, which there are a lot this year, they're stressed. The wires are just like the Parkway looked like today, if anybody was on it. Jam-packed at like 2:30 in the afternoon. You can't get space on the wire, which is incredibly expensive. So we will engage the underground microgrid with PS's signal, and we will help relieve their highway. It's like an alternative route on the highway to bring electrons into the buildings on our microgrid to free up their space. So we'll be able to work in blue sky conditions. Ever there's black sky conditions, power goes out, it comes up, police, fire, emergency service, I'll close on this. And you'll hear this more and more from developers, right? This is one of those things where amenities in a town include backup power, where you can plop down and you're not building giant diesel gen sets to run something you don't want to turn on. And for anyone who's ever like developed a backup power system, you're spending millions sometimes to build something you don't want to use. So it's intuitively backwards. If you can plop down in a space where they have that amenity, it saves money, it brings higher value, people can do things differently here, data, and it also moves with communication because it comes with our own 5G network, dark fiber as we call it, that will loop the system. And so if we ever need it, we have it. Doesn't mean you have to use it, but it's underground. And so that's the idea. It's the beginning. FEMA is doing these all across the country. They're sponsoring now millions of dollars in burying. Texas is moving quickly since their incident a few years ago. California has begun that all over the state. They're called microgrids, and they're exactly as they sound. Big grid is the macro. We're the little micro, and you'll see us now beginning to locate here, Princeton, Hudson County, we're in Secaucus, Neptune, we're hospitals, and where folks are the centers of effectively what is communication, which with all the highways that run through you guys, you are the center of emergency communication. So that's it. We're here now to begin from many years of planning, thank you, to begin to implement and work together with the utility to quietly put some wires in and start the generation bill. And so that's a 10-year story in about 10 minutes, and so I'm happy to
I'm
answer
impressed
any
that you
questions.
did that so quickly. Wow.
I practice knowing that this is a meeting that runs on schedule. I know.
You gotta have questions, so please ask. No
I
questions?
guess with the businesses, so now I have businesses on Main Street, but I don't own the building. Is there anything where we have to run it through the landlord, or is it just business specific to go to the grid?
We'll be working through the landlords. Effectively, we'll be touching the back of the panels that are outside, and we'll be interconnecting, so it's seamless, just like a solar array that sits on top, and it's coming in behind the panel, so you don't really know whether it's solar or the grid, because it depends, we're the same way. We'll be invisible coming up into the buildings.
Residential too.
Yeah, some of the mixed use. We have a layout of the microgrid that we can share with everybody. There's maps that I can lay out. It's much bigger than those maps because it's a big part of that.
We had to pick priority businesses that, you know, if there was an outage that we absolutely needed, and smoothies will be on the list.
It is true. We're going to run underneath you, and in the future, you can see a place where every business, right? I see a place where you're going to have folks, computers, backup, data center. It's anyone who needs hardened power. The first time it goes out, anyone who doesn't have it usually wants one. We operated in Hoboken. We started there. That was our first microgrid. It's operating in the W Hotel and now stretches all the way around. If folks saw the outages, as Carolyn knows, I called and said, "There's only one light on, and I see it from the helicopter." And it was the microgrid kicked in at the W, lit up everything all back to City Hall. All the pumps worked in Hoboken, and if you know that place, like they did not have nuisance flooding this year. Like you see it everywhere. Remember Hoboken every year, so it's up, it's operating. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but it does mean you have backup supplies, which is an incredible thing, especially with the stress. Right? Each time you meet with these residential folks, they're going mid-rise. The people coming, whether it's seniors or kids, everyone has something, right? It's all interconnected and it's all talking and it's all power use. And so it's great to have this. I think it's just a great thing for the city. So.
We're really excited, and aside from all of the sustainability and redundancy, I hope you picked up on it's not going to cost us anything. So that's always a beautiful thing to hear. And so in order to make this project happen, we're doing it through redevelopment. We've created the redevelopment agreement, which you will be voting on tonight. And basically the only area that they will be working in for now to start is Main Street. And we are starting, they're doing widening and road work in Upper Main Street. And so while they're widening the road, it's the perfect time to drop in the conduits. Sure there are no questions? Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you guys. You want me to wait around for a little while, or?
Whatever, you wanna stay, you wanna
I'll
go?
stay.
Go on through the actual work. Okay, I am, because we spent a lot more time today than we usually do, and I know Brian might wanna be getting outside in a minute. Yeah, I just wanna quickly explain, you have, a proposal from THA Consulting. They do all of our parking, and, we are, as we're hoping all the restaurants and businesses come downtown, we want to make sure that we have enough parking on this side. So we've spoken to Berkeley, and they are willing to work with us to maybe do a parking deck, to maybe give them on the site a new improved facility, to maybe have a restaurant there, to have it be a corporate center. So we have hired THA, I'm asking you to approve the hiring of THA, so they can look at the land and see, play around with it and see what we can fit on there. Paying attention to the back has wetlands, so and not necessarily wetlands, it's in a flood area in the back. So watching all that, so everything else here I think is self-explanatory unless you have questions.
All right, any questions, anybody?
Mr. Chair, may I comment on the resolution?
No,
We're past the public portion.
I do have information about the company you might want to know.
no, thank you. This is non-public part of the meeting, sorry.
All right, Maureen, any?
Unless you guys have any questions, we're good. Thank you.
All right, can we go over resolution, please?
Number 38, approving the bill list from July 18th to August 23rd in the amount of $10,442.92. Number 39, approving proposal from THA Consulting dated August 19th, 2022 for parking planning and design services associated with the downtown at a cost not to exceed $19,500. Number 40, resolution approving proposal from Sackler Appraisal Services dated August 19th, 2022 for block 59.08, lot 5.03 at a cost not to exceed $4,500. Number 41, designating SEI Caseby urban renewal. I'm not going to say all the blocks and lots. Smith Street public right-of-way on the tax maps of the township. 42, resolution recommending the SEI Caseby urban renewal project to the planning board. 43, recommending designating Woodmont Metro Park residential urban renewal as redeveloper of the property commonly known as block 356.02, lot 12. Number 44, resolution recommending the Woodmont Metro Park project to the planning board. Number 45, resolution designating Scale Microgrid Solutions as redeveloper of the town center microgrid project within the township.
Motion to approve the resolutions.
Move. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Resolutions approved. Any new business? No? Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Take care.
Thank you.